Welcome to the Cherry Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Tanisha Cherry. In today's episode, I have my girl Nancy with me, and we're going to be recapping the season of our favorite TV show, Insecure. And we're going to be sharing with each other our thoughts on the season finale because we haven't discussed it yet, and then also be spilling some major relationship tea. So stay tuned. So I met my girl Nancy about 4 years ago when she lived in Calgary. She recently moved back to Ontario in January and left me with all these crazy bloggers and influencers. I'm all by myself now.
I can't.
Yo, you left me, dog. I actually cried. Oh my gosh, I actually cried when you told me. I was like,
You're a G.
"What?"
You're a G. You don't cry. Stop
I
it.
did. I actually did cry. I don't even think I told you. I did cry. I was like, "What? You're leaving me?" I was actually so sad. We started following each other on Instagram for a little bit. And then after that, we made plans to meet up for drinks. I think we went to like Cactus on 17th Ave or something like that.
We did go
So,
for cactus. You had white wine, Chardonnay. I had my red
you sure I
wine.
had white wine? I didn't have a Bellini?
No, you had your red wine.
Oh, really? That's so
You had
weird.
your white. Yeah, you had white wine. You had Chardonnay, and then I had the red. It was like happy hour too. You know they always have happy hour all day, every day in that place.
Yo, Cactus Club is the plug for happy hour. But yeah, ever since that hangout, we've been friends ever since. And it's been a great time. Nancy, tell the people about yourself, girl.
Hi, I'm Nancy. You will to get to know me actually just you have to like sit with me. I think my personality comes better in person, but if you want to get a glimpse of it, you can always check me out on my Instagram page at Nancy Meyahw. Mia spelled is Meyah, and you get to have fun with me on there. I post all the time there. I'm always into the makeup, beauty, lifestyle type of thing. I'm all over the place and it's a fun time.
I've been loving the photos that you've been posting on Instagram lately. I'm just like, who is this diva? Okay. I'm like, who is this? Wow. Okay. I'm like, this requires a repost on the stories. We got to share this with the people. So funny.
I've been feeling good. I think it's just like I've been feeling really good about myself, and I'm not stressed, and it's just been a pause. Like the world has stopped, but for some reason I've just took it as a way to just like re like I didn't want to get sunk into the whole we're in a pandemic. There's so many things going on. When like everything happened in March, it just like the last weekend out was my birthday, and I just told myself like I'm not gonna let this stop me. I'm not gonna let this make me because there's a lot of people out there that are really depressed, and it's understandable. But I just decided that I just made a major move, and I left a really important part of my life in Calgary, which was my adult life. So like I just didn't want that to just be like I didn't want that to be taken all away. I wanted to prove that like I learned so much from Calgary, and I'm going to show it through the essence of either my photos, myself, my attitude, and that's just what have carried me essentially.
I feel like it's agreeing with you. You definitely look a lot happier. You looked more relaxed and free. It's a good look for you, girl. I like it. I like it. I was a little worried at first because I was like, I don't know. Because as you said, you started your whole adult life in Calgary. So to go back home, even though it's home, you're not going back as the same person. And people may still see you as that same person, like families and your siblings and stuff like that. So to go back and, now be an adult and not be seeing them like in small increments, it's a transition for everybody.
And I think that's why we both love Insecure, because like I so many of us can relate to these moments, especially those that either had adult relationship and adult friendships, and so moving and all these things and moving on and moving through. And I think that's why most people our age are so in tune with Insecure. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it brings us to reflection, and it kind of also makes you want to reflect on those around you. So yeah.
100%. So, recapping Insecure every week over FaceTime is basically me and Nancy's version of a book club since she moved. And I think it's so cute. It's been so fun to just dissect every part of the episode and just share with each other our past experience, and add our opinions on what we've learned now. And it's also taught us new things about one another. So I've really enjoyed us doing the recaps. You're the only person besides Katrina watches it too, but we don't get on FaceTime and like key, because I don't think she picks up on all the nuances.
Mhm.
So but like when we do it, like I love it, and I'm kind of sad that it's over now.
We gotta wait a whole year because Issa don't like us. She's for the black
Girl,
people, but she don't like us.
girl, let's pray it's only a year because the way it used to be working, like, we get it, sis, but come on now. Like, it only takes you guys 2 or 3 weeks to record these episodes. They're still 30 minutes. It's only 8 or 9 episodes. So it doesn't take you that long to record it. So y'all should be
Technically, we
batch
got five
recording it
episodes. We got 5 episodes.
this season.
When you put it in an hour span, we got
Oh,
five
yeah.
good episodes.
Okay, that's true. In an hour span. So they should be batch recording it. Like, it's very annoying. It's very annoying. I just can't.
But
So
you're also
this season,
rushing the process if you do batch it, though. You know that, right?
but I feel like it's not as bad if you're doing a continuation because they continued on from where they left off last season. So I felt like because they did that, they could have batched it this season and last season. Um, yeah, I feel like they could have done that. But maybe for next season, I don't know. We'll see what happens. This season, we dove deep into the characters of Issa, Molly, Lawrence, Nathan, Andrew, and Tiffany. So many cast members. We still don't really know that much about Kelly, but maybe next season.
I know.
we we saw that Issa finally got a handle on the career aspect of her life, which I loved. Molly is now in a relationship with Andrew, aka Asian Bay. Lawrence
Asia
is
Bay
in a
is
relationship.
fine.
He's so
Asian
fine.
Asia
And
Bay.
he got a Molly in real life, girl.
He
Ugh,
got real Molly in real life. She got her real hair too. Like she looks so cute.
she's
Oh,
gorgeous. Oh
yeah.
my gosh. I'm just like, I can't. We see Lawrence in a relationship. We found out at the end of last season that Lawrence was dating Condola, or they went on their first date, I guess is what happened last season. So we
Yeah.
now see Lawrence in another relationship, but this one's more serious. Nathan finally returns back on the scene. And then Tiffany also had her baby, and we start seeing her experiencing postpartum depression. And then, of course, the biggest theme of the whole season is the breakdown of Issa and Molly's relationship.
Oh yeah.
So,
PTSD.
honestly,
PTSD. When I think, ooh, that really brought up a lot of emotions out of me. That the whole relation
I
breakdown.
know it did. Oh my gosh. So, before we talk about our individual thoughts on the finale episode, let's talk about the overall season. So, what did you like about this season?
The raw humanness of being an adult and dealing with these things. We all have those, as much as we
Hmm.
don't like to say it. And I think maybe because we're Black women, we kind of experience it a little bit more because, like, a lot of us are. You can make a move in the sometime in the Black community without someone saying you're changing. You know,
Hmm.
like I get that a lot. Is like, oh, why are you going here? Why are you doing this? Are you sure? Because like we're taught about like traditional jobs and those are the way to go about, and I think Molly, she comes off so privileged in a sense that because she went the traditional route
Hmm.
essentially, right? And so she was so confident in it, so she thought things were given to her, and I see that a lot in a lot of people in my life where they felt like because they've had these traditional roles and these traditional jobs and they're like, well, I have a job now, I have a career now, I have this, and it's like checking things off the box, but this like the happiness doesn't ooze out even with
Yeah,
all
the
those things.
passion's not there.
Yeah.
That's absolutely because I feel like when we first met Molly, like the first couple seasons, I feel like she had a drive and she had a goal because remember she was trying to become partner of her
Mhm.
original law firm she was with, and that didn't happen. And that's when she switched over to an all black law firm. And, she obviously had a hard time transitioning there. But I feel like now that she has her, foot in, she's settled, and she has this little rivalry with one of her coworkers, which I feel like is gonna they're gonna end up sleeping together. Like I feel like it because
They're
like
the
they
two
just
they're two peas in a pod. Like
they
there's
are they're gonna end up sleeping together. It's gonna happen. But I feel like we always saw Molly working towards something in her career, and that fire was there. And I felt like maybe that's what helped her be a little bit more balanced. But now that she's more settled in her career, and now she's trying to dive into a relationship, we're just seeing, especially in unknown territory, because all seasons we haven't seen her in an actual relationship. We've seen her sleep with people, we've seen her had fuck buddies and stuff like that, but we didn't see her in a serious relationship. And I feel like her trying to balance that or add that in has just thrown off her whole world. It's a hot mess. um this season, what did I like about this season? I think the thing I liked is that they approached a lot of uncomfortable conversations. The conversation, the argument that Molly and Issa had, that was uncomfortable to watch, to see them both, just like vomit on each other, a verbal vomit of everything that they've been feeling. That was uncomfortable. The other conversation where Lawrence asked Issa why she cheated on him, like, whoo, that was like uncomfortable. But afterwards, I felt so happy because I'm just like, this is the adult conversation we all need to have with our exes or our spouses. And not just like if they cheat on us, but if something is happening in the relationship, this is the kind of dialogue we need to be having no matter how uncomfortable it is. So that is one of the things I really appreciated about this season.
It and I think
Go
it's
ahead.
needed because what we tend to do is we push things. We don't fight for friendships anymore, you know?
Mhm. We
And
fight for relationships with our
ships, but
spouses. We don't
but
fight for
yeah,
friendships. You're right.
we don't fight for friendship. And I think there should be room for therapy for adult friendships, you know?
Mhm.
I don't feel like I've known you since I was 10, I've known you since I was 15, and now I'm 35. Like, for instance, like that shouldn't be easy to throw away. Like,
Exactly.
I think it's good to like we should fight for our friendship. And I could see them fighting in their own way, but
Mhm.
it was hard to watch because they didn't want to accept that the other person is changing. And that was also
Exactly.
very hard to watch.
Mhm. And the other thing I realized too is that Insecure does a really good job of like showing you what the buildup is to something. We've seen the little jabs throughout this different seasons, and this season it just came to a head, especially because they're now totally in different places and they have really come full circle with their change. And the same thing, like with Issa and Lawrence, we've seen, where the relationship was before. We saw them getting on a good track. Then we saw, Issa cheat on him. We saw him find out. We saw the breakup. We saw him messing with the girl at the bank. We saw her, basically homeless and trying to figure things out. We saw them awkwardly bumping into each other. Then, he gets a job. Like we've seen that build up to now it's like, okay, these conversations may not happen overnight with an ex, but it can happen and there can be some sort of resolve. And then the same thing with Issa and Molly. Like we've seen all this awkwardness this whole season. I like that they just don't patch and fix things right away. We really see like that build up. And it's annoying sometimes to watch because it's like, okay, you guys, like just have the conversation. Like Issa and Molly could have squashed everything at the grocery store, but they didn't. They sat here and shelved it for a later date. And in real life, that's what we do. We'll be like, okay, well, we'll talk about it later, or we'll hope it goes away so we don't have to have that awkward conversations. And we're seeing in real life, this is what happens when you don't address things with your friends, the people that you love and care about.
And why is it that hard to address stuff with friends? We could go in and try to resolve things with our significant others. But when it comes to family and friends and people that like either raised you, like we hold things in. It's like, why
Hmm.
do we have that easy resentment toward the so and so called people we love? Is it because in human nature, you just think just because somebody has unconditional love for you, they're just supposed to know? And I don't think that's fair. And I feel like that's where there's just a human concept of it that came out so raw because we all been through it. We always feel like
Hmm.
if like it hurts you more when a friend does something to you or your mom does something to you or your brother does something to you and you hold that grudge, for a very
Hmm.
long time and you let it go because oh that's my brother, I'm not gonna hold it on. But like it comes out in different ways. It comes out like that negativity and that anger comes out in different ways. Yes, you may go to their birthday party, but you're gonna always come out with a slick remark.
Yo, straight up, my family functions all the time. It's funny because I understand that ideology because I think we're conditioned that, like, if you're my great family and sometimes this family member and sometimes this translates into like childhood friends, like we sit here and put so much on the fact that we have history, so like almost anything goes. All you have at this point is history, then you don't have a relationship, because at the end of the day, length of time does not determine the quality of that relationship, you know um and I feel like, especially me, and my mom is like this, and I always get into like arguments with her about it because she'll be like, you've known them your whole life, like get over it. And I'm just like, that is not a pass to violate me. And I feel like growing up, that is really what it's resulted in me having people in my life for too long that have done crazy things to me, and it's annoying because no, we should be teaching our kids and other people that if you do something wrong, there's going to be consequences. And if you continuously do things wrong, then that's the end of it. And I've always been a person where it's like, I'll try to have a conversation with people and work through it because I don't want to lose that person because I truly value them. That's why they're in my life. But at the same time, it's just like you're not going to keep violating me and making me feel a type of way, and I'm just going to keep you around because you've been here. Like, no, that's a threat. That's dangerous. You don't keep people around. I'm not into that whole saying of keep your enemies closer or whatever. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. No, I want the enemy far away because you are a dark cloud and I don't need you raining on
Oh
my
my
parade
God.
at all.
Far, far away. It's
Far
it
away.
like it's terrifying, but like I get anxiety. Like I just had a conversation with a friend the other day and I
Mhm.
was just speaking to her and I was like, I like certain topics gives me anxiety and they give me certain people like, and it's not because like I'm scared of them. It's just that it's that overwhelming feeling that just makes me feel so unsettled, you
I
know?
100% agree with that.
And
I've definitely had those sentiments before.
yeah, and I'm like, I don't want that around me because like it makes me sick to my stomach and I get anxiety and it's like I don't know what your reasoning and why you're around me and that like that it's because I know if someone doesn't like me, it's better we stay away from each other.
Mhm. I used to have a friend who used to always call me to tell me, like, obviously the gossip of what's happening with people. But then she'd always tell me what people are saying about me or what the rumors were, whatever the case is. And it got to a point where I literally used my heart would be every time her name would pop up on my phone because I'd be like, okay, well, what are people saying about me now? Like, what did I do now? And it used to just drive me crazy to the point where it's like, it got to a point where I just had to end the friendship because I'm just like, this is toxic. Like, you are always the person delivering news to me about myself, negative news. And I feel like as a friend, you should be shielding me from that and you should be defending me. And if you don't feel comfortable defending me, then just shut it down. Because sometimes you have those relationships with people, you just don't know what's happening and you don't want to see the wrong thing. You don't know what the right thing is. And you'll just be like, that's cool. Like sometimes people will tell me, like, oh, I don't like so and so. And that person will be my friend. And I'll be like, well, so and so don't like you either. So what you telling me for? And that's the end of the conversation. Like, you're not about to sit here and bash my friend to me. That's not what's gonna happen. It's it's relationships with females, it's a mess. Okay, so thinking about where you are at in life right now, who do you relate to the most this season and why? And maybe it does isn't a whole person, maybe it could be just like them in a particular situation that you really related to, but go
I
ahead, girl.
definitely I definitely relate to Isa. I just think with the career set and I've been there. Funny thing is I worked in a position where it's not nonprofit, but it's in the social service industry, and I was in the happiest in it, and I
Mhm.
left. And when I was in Calgary, I started working in restaurants just to figure out what my next career move, and I focused more about my blog and my Instagram, and that's really when I started pushing more on what brings me joy, and within that aspect. Me changing those careers, like I've had a lot of people question me and look at me like I'm some bum, you know, because
Yo, people are so mhm.
yeah, because I didn't want to do the traditional route. But like what they don't know is it may not be where I wanted to be at the time, but who knows? I may have come back to it later when I figure out exactly how to navigate it. Because Isa ended up still finding a way to be in that nonprofit world, in that giving back world, but in a different realm. And the fact that a lot of people did, even her friends were shading her. Like forget Molly, the way Kelly at
Girl.
forget yeah, for,
Preach.
forget Kelly, like forget Molly, but the way Kelly and Tiffany took it really, really showed that some people just don't because Kelly is an accountant. Um, Tiffany works in a really good firm, for PR and communication. So Issa taking that route really like threw them back, and they're already always pointing out like you're already struggling for money. You're already struggling for money. You
You're the
know,
broke friend.
you're the
Mm.
broke friend, but the passion that Issa had and it showed it really made me emotional to think like she almost never got to that point where she enjoyed it. And that conversation she had with her mom really put me at ease because
Oh, I
like,
love that conversation. Mhm.
because people really think having kids, having a husband, having a right career path is really what makes somebody happy. But it doesn't. You can have all these things. It may not just happen at that person's time. And I that's where I was like when I was in Calgary, like I was constantly, and I think you noticed that too, and my emotions were always constantly up and
Mhm.
down because I
Yeah.
I wasn't like I'm always questioning myself if I was doing the right thing and if I. But when I focus on what makes me happy, like the results are there. Like you tell me like my
Mhm.
pictures look really good and I'm happy is because I'm focusing on things that make me happy. But now,
Mhm.
like, I want to get back into my field. I want to get back into the social service field. I've had a conversation about it, but not in a way where it was before. I found ways that I could still do it and be a part of what I'm doing now, you know?
Mhm.
And
That's amazing.
and that's what people don't get is you could still keep that aspect of your career, but there's so many different way to deliver it. The world is
Mhm.
changing, you know? Um,
It is.
yeah.
I definitely can 100% agree with that, and it's so funny when you pointed out how Kelly and Tiffany were hating on Issa. It's so funny because I always say that with support you flourish, but, so many of us do not receive that, and if we look at what Issa was able to do with its block party, that was because of the support that she received from Condola. You know, her friends had never supported her before, and that's why I feel like, you know, having she didn't have that confidence to really do anything before. Had she not had Condola there, and it's not because of her resources and her skill set, it's really that support. Like every time she met with her, it was positive vibes, it was empowering, it was reassurance, you know, she was giving her that pump, and that's what your community is supposed to do for you, and that's what her friends should have been to her. And I feel like if they were always more positive and supportive of her, regardless of, you know, any trials and errors that she went through that they witnessed, she would be a lot further along. Because, you know, Issa supports them in what they're doing, but it's just it was never reciprocated because again she was considered the broke friend. But we saw what can happen with someone just having one person support you, and that's crazy. I definitely related to Issa this season because I feel like I am, you know, in the groove work wise with my 9 to 5. I feel like I'm in a good place with it. I feel content. And I also feel like I'm in a space now where I feel very comfortable exploring all the social media stuff. Like I have the YouTube channel, you know, I'm doing Instagram, obviously. And then, of course, I now have the podcast. And I just feel really confident in my ability to put out great quality content. You know, I still suffer with, not suffer, but I still deal with imposter syndrome every now and then, but it's just not as prevalent as it used to be. You know, I feel more confident trying new things and going into new situations, negotiating contracts, demanding a certain amount to be paid. I feel good and I feel really great about the kind of work that I can put out and my creativity. And I just feel a lot of inspiration and a lot of inspiration around me that's really helping to propel me further. So seeing Issa be able to accomplish this block party just made me feel like, girl, you literally can do everything. You have the resources, you have the skill sets, you have the talents. You just need to do it. So just do it. And if things don't turn out the way that you want it to, then you regroup and you look at ways you can improve and you do it again. And I feel like Issa really gave us all as creatives hope this season because being a creative is really challenging because a lot of people just don't understand it. And when you're mentioning, you know, people don't understand when you came to Calgary and you weren't in your career field. And then even I know just being friends with you, a lot of your friends didn't support you being a social media blogger, but then they're supporting these other bloggers, you know, who you're friends with or you know, that you know, or maybe you don't know who are just acquaintances. And you're just like, well, hello, I do the same thing. I'm at the same events. I'm on the same campaigns. Like, why aren't you showing me as much love? So
And
it's,
I'll tell you this right now, and this goes to any blogger or anybody that's doing anything in a creative sense, or you're just doing a career that nobody understands. I'm telling you right now, the last people to come around are the closest to you. Just keep
mhm,
pushing. Don't
yes.
even ask you. I don't need to ask somebody close to me to support me to share my stuff.
Hmm.
If they don't, if you see me creating this content and you don't feel the need to share it, I'm not gonna ask you.
Hmm.
You're the closest to me. You see me taking these photos. You sometimes help me with them. But if you don't want to like it, you don't want to comment, you don't want to, tell somebody to follow me, I'm not going to be mad at you. Like I really am not because to me it's like maybe you don't understand it. And it's like I'm not going to beg. This is not a place for me to beg. This is my creativity and this is for me to share with those that are connect to it. If you don't connect to it, I don't expect people close to me to connect to what I'm doing. It's for other people out there that are looking for the same resources, you know?
Preach, sis. So, okay, I've been dying to hear your thoughts on the season finale, and I feel like that's why we haven't FaceTimed in a couple weeks because we didn't just want to slip into the conversation as we want to discuss it on this podcast.
Let me
So,
just go back though to one thing you said about imposter syndrome.
oh yeah, go
I,
ahead.
The comment you said about how you feel like you go through that, I feel like Issa went through that after her success of the block party. She really was, you could tell she was really
She
questioning,
did.
you
Mhm.
know, like, is this really me? Or when she was describing it to these heifers that was out there that played her at that dinner, at that
Yo,
lunch,
I
those
haven't heard the word heifer in forever. I used to use that all the time.
I was so mad how they played Issa at that, those bachelorette girls. Oh my
Oh,
god.
oh my gosh.
But you
So
could tell, like, her explaining herself, she almost didn't believe it, like this is what
fun.
she was doing. So yeah, but it was realistic. But yeah, um going back to the finale, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
No, you start.
um Honestly, I felt like the writing at the end was lazy. Condola did
Ooh,
not need to get pregnant. We're tired of this. We're tired of black relationship always getting broken up by break babies. Like,
sound
stop.
off, sis.
Like, it's stupid and it doesn't fit Condola's character or the demeanor you guys wrote her in the beginning and how she came into the season, you know?
Sound off, sis.
So it was like, who wrote that? Go back.
We'll
Like,
find out who wrote it.
like if the girl that was messing with Lauren the first time, the girl that was working in the bank, because she was so carefree and she was about family, and she ended up getting pregnant, it would make sense, right? Because like her personality was just like that. But Condola's personality doesn't fit. Like, I just had a baby with somebody that my friend just literally said to them, "You were what did you call him? What do you call these people that they come after your real relationship?" Those people, like the person you date after your real relationship to get you over it. Like, it's in the tip of
Oh,
my tongue.
a
A
rebound.
rebound.
Okay.
I'm just tired of hearing like these stories. Like, it just didn't fit Condola's personality and the moves she was making and the way she was coming about this show. So why now all of a sudden she's like, I'm gonna keep this baby of a man that I know who don't want me, when she didn't want to be like her. Like, there's just a lot of things that didn't make sense, and I didn't like how it ended. I wish it started the next season with this. Was like Issa and Lauren like going off to being happy, you know? And then the next
Nah,
season,
they couldn't leave us like that.
and then yeah, and then the next season starts like Condola might be pregnant. And then I'd be like, oh, now we have something to really digest all season. And also with Molly and Andrew, I thought it was lazy too, how like that conversation went. It could have went a lot more deeper, but it just left Molly in like, oh my God, I'm so sad. Let me call Issa. It didn't really, Andrew didn't get a chance to hit it to the point where she could reflect before calling Issa. You know, she
Mhm.
needed to sit down and really think about it. And I don't know. It was just the only thing I did like was like them trying to like, subtly just kind of put in that Tiffany was struggling with postpartum, and I did
Mhm.
kind of enjoy that aspect of their friends. I wish my friends can chase me down like that when I have a baby.
That was so interesting. I liked the Tiffany. I feel like they didn't even go into it that deep, but I felt like I also enjoyed the way they did it because it showed a different side of postpartum. And I watched some interviews with Amanda Seales where she said like she consciously, did things where she slowly let go of her appearance. Like she slowly stopped getting her nails done and manicures and stuff like that. And Tiffany's that girl that always has her nails done. Like those small things that we should have noticed about them that we didn't notice. So I felt like I liked the way that they showed postpartum because it can look different for everybody. And I think we need to learn as a society to be able to identify when someone is asking for help because sometimes what people don't realize is the person that's experiencing it doesn't even realize what it is. They don't experience that they're unhappy. They don't realize that they're unhappy every day or they're extra moody. They don't, and sometimes they feel it, but they don't know what it is. They're just thinking that, oh, I'm just tired and exhausted. And it's just like, you're not physically tired. You're just mentally tired and
Mm-hmm.
drained. Your emotions are just weighing very heavily on you, and that's why you're not doing XYZ and you're not as perky and blah blah blah.
And I
That
need
was
people
really
to stop. Yeah, I think that was really good. And I need people to stop guilting women into having kids. I really need to stop other women thinking that, giving false narrative like my kids are my world, my kids are so perfect. Like, stop. Be honest. There's nights you had terrible days trying to put this child to bed. Like, stop trying to make other people feel guilty by being honest that they're struggling, you know?
100%. This finale was everything I did not think it was going to be. Like, honestly, I feel like the season teasers that they gave us were lies and lies and lies. Like, in my head, I thought, okay, we're gonna find out in the season finale whether she chooses to be with Nathan or she chooses to be with Lawrence, because obviously that's going to be a question that happens and we're gonna see her do something, right? And then I felt like her and Molly were gonna be able to come together. Cool. I thought for sure, Andrew and Molly would ride off into the sunset as well. And that's what it is. I thought our biggest questions of all season were going to be answered, and they weren't. I felt like every storyline was a cliffhanger, because even the Tiffany situation, yeah, they found her, but then it's a cliffhanger of like, okay, well, what's going to happen next with her? Like, she's experiencing postpartum. Are they going to seek help? Does she do this again? Does it take a bigger strain on their relationship? you know and the interesting part about it was that we saw her husband start to place blame on himself, because he's like, I missed all the signs and da 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 and whatever. And I feel like in real life, men don't even understand it. They don't even take that accountability that they didn't recognize this. And they usually just put blame on the other person. Like, I have a friend who experienced a lot of experienced postpartum after she had her daughter, and her, significant other, he, inst- he didn't recognize it. And even when she's saying, like, I'm experiencing postpartum, he would basically guilt her and say that you're a bad mom, you're not behaving the way a mother should. And I'm just like, what part of postpartum do you not understand? And he continues to do it now. And I'm just like, that's awful. So that was interesting to see him, take accountability, even though it's not something that he needs to take accountability, but just to like self reflect. But yeah, I just feel like this finale was just not what I expected. The pregnancy came out of nowhere for me. Like, this is how they did us. They did us so dirty. They start the episode with them, like, being so happy in love, and, like, they have a routine. They're both doing their thing, She's supporting him. He has this new job opportunity. They're making jokes at each other. Like, I felt like it was so cute. I'm like, "I want this relationship. I'm loving this vibe."
But
And then
the relationship is so real because you know what it is? Spending that many years with somebody, now you get
mhm,
to see why they were together because I think we didn't get to
yeah,
see why Issa and Lauren worked because in the beginning of the series, it just
yeah.
Lawrence was just painted as this guy that's been on unemployment for 2 years.
We didn't get it. We're like, "Girl, why are you with this bum?" But
Yeah,
now we get it, now we see the essence of the relationship and the love that they have for each other, and I really enjoyed watching that, and I'm just like, "I love this." Like, I've had this banter back and forth with a significant other, and that's the things that when a relationship ends, when people say, "I miss the friendship," that's what they're referring to. They're not referring to the sex, they're not referring to the dates, they're referring to that, those
yeah,
conversations you have, being able to, go for a new opportunity and having that support there, and somebody to call you afterwards and say, like, "Hey, how'd it go?" "Okay, well, let's celebrate." It's like, "I didn't get the job yet." It's like, "Yeah, but let's celebrate you going after for it," having that push and that support and positive vibes around you. So I really like seeing that. And then they crashed and burned with Condola coming in at the end. I was like, "Wait, what? Huh?" And when that happened, I had to like click the my iPad, because that's what I watch it on. And I'm like, "Wait, how much time do we have left?" And I looked and I was like, "Hey, we're gonna be talking about this for a bit longer." Like,
I,
where are we going with this?
yeah. I was mad, and but I think there's two good things that came out of Lawrence this episode, the last episode that really like made me feel some type of way. The way Lawrence talked to Issa when he's like he's now comfortable working for somebody because he
Mhm.
always
Oh,
thought like he had to be a boss and he had to create these programming and do this coding and be the part of he didn't want to be a part of a team and that's why he was on unemployment for so long. But now it's
mhm.
almost like he after working at his company and realizing you could still work in a team and still be a creator and create
Exactly. Some
your own.
people flourish in team environments, and some
Yeah,
people are great being the head of it.
yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with either position. I know a lot of people will sit here and say, we've seen Damon Dash and, recently B. Simone talk about, like, entrepreneurship and business and being the boss, not being the worker. There's nothing wrong with being either or, as long as you're happy and you are living a life that's fulfilled and you feel like you're being compensated well. to your expectations, there is nothing wrong with being the worker or the boss, because sometimes being a boss is not all it's cracked up to be. You literally are in control of everything. You have the world of everyone in your company or your team on your back, because these people's livelihood, you know, is dependent on your leadership. And that's pressure in itself. Like, a lot of bosses, leaders, CEOs, directors, they don't have any time to spend with their family. They're missing out on stuff because they aren't able to just punch in and out. Their workday never ends. So there are pros and cons to both of it. And I agree with you. I really appreciate when he said that, because a lot of us, again, we're conditioned to think this is the way, this is success. This is what success looks like, not
Yeah.
realizing success looks different for every single person. And we just need to identify what that is to us. And that may even change throughout our career. We may start off as a boss and then later come out to say that, I just want to be on a team. I want it to be collaborative. Maybe I just want to punch in and out and not have to think about it and do other things. It's different, but no, I 100% agree with you. Um, this episode was a hot mess. It's so funny. This is the first time that I went on Twitter while I was watching the episode, because I'm like, yo, I got to see what the people on Twitter are saying.
Yes.
And girl, these people were clowning Condola's name, okay? I was dying. I'm just like, why are they doing her so greasy?
She probably hates the day she took that job.
Dog.
From the day she took that job, she was not liked.
Yo,
For no
my
reason.
favorite. I know, and she's so pretty, and I liked her on that show. We all liked Condola in the beginning until we found out that she was dating Lawrence, and we're like, "Oh, fuck that bitch."
But not even that. I asked out Condola when she was like to Issa, "Did Lawrence not tell you?" Like,
Oh my gosh, I hated that. That's when I didn't
I
like
was
her
like,
either,
"You
because
are
I'm like,
such
that's
a
not her business.
female. Like, I thought you were such a boss." That just shows you, just because someone has a good job, a good
Mhm.
career, make boss move, don't mean their mentality has changed from that mean girl teenager attitude.
100%. Like, girl, why are you approaching me about what Lauren said? Why weren't you at work? Why you ain't been returning my calls, honey? We got business to take care of. It. Like, where your mind at? It was a
Exactly.
mess. Like, okay, but the funniest names that people had put on Instagram when I was looking, or not Instagram, but Twitter, my favorite was canola oil.
That was mine because you know what it is? I was just gonna say canola oil was my favorite. I don't know what it was.
And then my other favorite was condolences. And then
My
I see
favorite.
someone put coconut curry soup. I'm like, where you get that one from? That one's not good.
I say canola oil because she always looked moisturized and like put down. Her hair always looked like that shit is drenched in good buttery oil. Like that's why I call her canola oil.
Mama is glistening. Coconut oil, like, girl, condola. We gotta look up that name. What does that mean?
Why did they pick that name?
I'm sorry for anyone whose name is actually Condola in real life. I'm sorry. We're not clowning your name, okay? We're talking
We're
about the
just
TV show.
that's like these Twitter people are not mature enough to take
No,
names
Black
like
Twitter is savage. Like, it doesn't
yeah,
matter what they do. Like, that's the one thing I love about Black Twitter um is that they just make everything just so much more fun and entertaining. But overall, this season finale, I did not like these cliffhangers. Like, the one thing I really didn't like is like, okay, how are we gonna start next season? Are we gonna do a continuation and leave where we left off like we did with last season? Because I remember starting this season, I'm like, why is Tiffany still pregnant? Like, she's been pregnant forever. And someone's like, it's a continuation. I'm just like, okay. Or are we gonna see next season, like, Condola's 5 months pregnant, or did she have a miscarriage, or did she have an abortion? Like, it's a lot. I don't know. So what do you wanna see happen next season?
I want to see more positivity for Issa. I just want her to be in a really good space, and I love her assistant, even though she ain't
Oh,
getting
her
paid.
assistant's great. I need her more on the show too. She's great, and
Yes,
her brother. I loved
yeah,
her and her brother being more active this season.
yeah, that was a great relationship to watch. I want to see Lawrence really stepping up to the plate and um, seeing what he's gonna do, whether Condola decides to have the baby or not. Like,
But what
is he
can he do? He already said he wants to be with Issa. And I loved how he fought for her. He was just like, he did not back down. And he was just like, okay, I recognize you're angry, you're upset, you're shouting, you're frustrating. I'm going to take it. And I'm going to tell you that I love you and I want to be with you. And this is not the situation, but I need you. I
Yeah.
love that he really fought for the relationship. He didn't just say like, "Well, here's your out." And I appreciated that so much. Oh my gosh. Okay, so
It
next
hurt.
season, it
Yeah, go
did
ahead.
hurt. It made me sad. I was just like, "Fucking bitch, why?"
I want
Sometimes,
Molly to sleep at her psychiatrist like
girl,
couch. You need to be there 24-hour being monitored
every day on lunch break, honey. Every day on lunch break.
because you're too dangerous for society right now with that attitude.
She's like, we almost I feel like we almost need a flashback into Molly's upbringing to get a better understanding for her. And maybe that's what they should do next season. Like maybe we should dive into when Issa and Lawrence first met. Maybe we should dive into the friend group because we also I forgot to mention the breakdown of their whole friend group as a result of Issa and Molly on the outs. Like the whole friend group kind of just, broke off a bit and everybody went their separate ways. I would love to see some flashbacks. Next season would be really great to see, but we would need more episodes because y'all can't give us 9 or even half hours. Like, no, but we need to dive into like their upbringings to see why they are the way they are. And I would really like if they would bring my boo boo Dro back because oh my gosh, he's so fine in his
He's so
voice.
fine, but he's so like I still don't believe that his wife knew he was messing with Molly. I don't
You
care
know
what
what? That's
no
the one thing I did not like about him on that season. I felt like, okay, so I'm confused. So was he in an open relationship or was he lying? I
because you
almost feel
see
like I need to go back and watch it.
because I was like, okay, sure you're in an open relationship, but I don't think it like entails you messing with a girl you had a crush with in high school and college.
Don't
Like
think they were in an open relationship. And I feel like that's why Molly got so mad. I don't know. He was treating Molly like another relationship. It's not like I don't know. It was too much. I can't. He was treating her like a girlfriend. And then all of a sudden your wife pops up pregnant. And it's just funny because Molly doesn't take into consideration like, girl, you are the side chick. He's going to continue sleeping with his wife. Like just because he's in an open relationship doesn't mean that their relationship isn't going to progress. Like
and
it's still going to move.
and that's what I was like, okay, like why was Molly mad at her dad for cheating on her mom? Like for so long. And it's like, is she entailing the fact that like she's
Girl,
mad
that
at
was
Dr-
another mess. That
I
was
was like
another mess.
I was like,
Like
Molly, let it go. When her
you
brother
are
was like,
a
ugh,
grown.
that conversation her brother said to her, wait, can we say the N word here? Can we
Yeah.
say? Okay. So I was just saying, like, when her brother was like, dad was a nigga too, he did nigga shit. I was like,
Where is the lie, honey? I just feel like, that's the whole situation where her and her dad kind of annoyed me. No, it really annoyed me because it made me think of people whose parents have been married their whole entire life and then decide to get like divorced when like the child is like 20 something or like 30 and they get really upset and it's like you are grown, like your parents relationship is not your business. I can understand when you're younger and your household dynamic changes, but you are a grown person with your own family, your own life. Like your parents' relationship should not concern you unless like somebody is physically being abused or something like that. But as for them not working out and not being together, like that's still your daddy and that's still your mama and y'all are still a
yeah.
family. They're just
And I
not a
think,
couple.
and when someone said, like, your mom let it go, when her brother's like, mom's okay with it, she moved on from it, it ain't your fight.
It
Why
ain't your
is
fight, sis.
And I'm
Always.
just, and it's like, and she wasn't doing it because she was mad for her mom. It was like, it's almost like she was doing it because she was mad for herself. It's like, were you the one getting cheated on?
But
No.
you notice Molly always picks up people fight because if you think about it, it was the same thing with the whole Nathan and Issa thing when she told Nathan, like, Issa doesn't want to talk to you or whatever the case is, like, you messed up. Like, that wasn't your place. It's cool to have your girls back, but that wasn't your place to step in and do that. And obviously, we saw Issa get pissed off at her for that. And she should have been a little pissed off a bit longer. And this whole situation's a hot mess. So I wanted to share because as I was watching this episode, I totally thought of one of my past relationships, and I was like, "Yo, I've been Issa in this Lawrence and Condola situation before." And it's so funny because I don't even think I
Do
told you about
tell. Do tell,
it. Okay,
girl.
so he's totally gonna listen to this podcast. It's gonna be so funny, and I'm gonna send it to him. So I was dating this guy, and we're gonna call him D because that's a
That's you
very nice.
can't. You can't because that's my man's name.
I don't even know your new man's name. So we're gonna call him D. And so we were dating. We had just started dating. It was long distance. He lived in Toronto and he still does. Um, we met a few years before. Me and him reconnected in probably like February. I would say, dang, it wasn't even like we reconnected in February. We started, like, probably dating around March. It was, like, the early state of dating where it's, like, you're a couple, but you don't really know it yet,
Mhm.
and you haven't maybe yet put a name on it, but you're about to. Around that part, whatever. So him and his ex had stopped dating. They broke up in like November, December. And usually I wouldn't talk to someone that had just recently been out of a relationship. But considering why they broke up and how long their relationship had been in a decline, I was like, oh, whatever. Like, it's not going to be, a him hop back to his ex thing. Like, I wasn't concerned about it. Anyways, so yeah, a month or two after, we reconnect and we're like dating, we're together and stuff like that, he comes and tells me that his, ex popped up and she's pregnant. And I was like, "What?"
Were you hurt?
I was like, I wasn't hurt because I wasn't hurt. I was just like, I was just thoroughly confused. I was just shocked. I was like, "Wait, what?" And just to like for the listeners, so no, he did not cheat on me. She was like months pregnant. Like she had gotten, I guess they would have conceived towards the end of their breakup, like before they broke up.
Mhm.
So she was like that many months pregnant. So I'm just kind of like, wait, what? Like, huh? What's going on? So like he was really, frazzled about it. And I was just trying to be supportive because I just didn't know how to, and I was younger. I didn't know how to even, like, approach it. I just felt like, "Okay, I need to be there for you because this is shocking, like, you're about to be a dad and stuff, you obviously" his quote was, "I don't wanna have a baby with someone I don't trust and I don't even like," like, how this is not this ideal situation for me. Anyways, long story short, I ended up staying in a relationship with him, and we ended up breaking up, obviously, because 'cause we're not together now, but I was in that Issa situation, and for me personally, I went into it thinking that I could deal with it, and I should have ended things there. Like, I should just continue being friends with him, but I really ideally should have ended it there because while we were trying to build, this whole life transition was happening for him. And as much as he said it's not going to change anything, it changed everything. Like, honestly, you know, our communication broke down. We weren't talking to each other as much. There was no effort from him in the relationship anymore because he was just so weighed down and stressed out by the fact that he's having a baby with this girl. And then she was just making things so complicated. Then found out we were together and she was making things extra complicated. It was causing stress between him and his family members because they just felt like why are you dating someone? Why don't you just go back to so and so? She's having your baby and da 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 da. So it caused a lot of strain on our new relationship. And I should have really just ended things sooner. And obviously, we ended up breaking up like months after. As much as I want her and Lawrence, like, okay, Issa's situation is different from me because she was dating Lawrence for a very long time, and Lawrence seems like he really wants to make things work. And I also don't see Condola being petty, but we don't know because, hormones change. She still is trying to actually be with Lawrence. And then to find out that he went back to Issa, the girl that she did the block party with, who said that, no, I'm not interested. They both swore on it, and now they're back together. Her petty level may just come out now.
First of
So
all, Condola is petty. Okay. She been petty because why are you asking your man had his ex not cheated on him would he stayed? What kind of
that was the
backward
dumbest
ass
question ever.
like
That
what
was
kind
the
of
dumbest question. That wasn't even like that was the stupidest question ever. Like, no, because things were fine. Why wouldn't I break it up? But that doesn't mean that we were meant to be. Like, that was the dumbest question. When she
what
asked that, I was so fucking annoyed.
I was like, was he supposed to say, yeah, if I would have met you at Tiffany's party for her baby shower and me and Issa were together because she didn't cheat on me, I would have left her for you. Is that what you wanted to hear?
That didn't make sense at all. Like, I hate when girls do stuff like that.
She's
It's
petty.
just so stupid. It is. It's pathetic, really.
She left her
But
man for no reason. We don't know why she left her man actually, but she left her man for a reason we don't know about, but she said it didn't
oh yeah,
work.
they got divorced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she said that she wasn't ready to get in a marriage, which is fair. But I think Lawrence took it that she didn't want kids, right? But I don't
Hmm.
think she's never said she didn't want children. But but the vibe that Condola was putting out there is like Lawrence was just like a side thing. So
She really did put out that vibe. So the fact that she's so thirsty now, and I feel like she's thirsty now because she just didn't want him to go back to Issa. And
yeah.
that's the problem that some of us women do, because I've definitely been that girl where I've been in an ain't shit situation, but I know there's a girl, specific girl in the back lurking, and I'm like, no, I don't want him to be with her. But the thing is, sis, like, if he wants to be with that girl, he's going to be with her regardless, regardless if y'all are in a relationship, whether you're not in a relationship. If that's who he wants, that's who he wants. And you need to be confident in yourself and say, like, well, if he don't want me, then that's his loss and that's it. So when I think about the situation that I was in with D, I felt like I should have never even continued a relationship. I should have been like, you know what? This is a huge transition. Let's just be friends and continue to get to know each other and go from there. And I think that would have been better because obviously we're not together now. When I look back on the relationship, I just felt like it was a relationship that, to be honest, didn't really need to happen. It didn't need to happen. Like, he's a great person. Like, we could be great friends. We still talk every now and then, but it's a relationship that didn't do anything for either one of us, to be honest. I feel like, I don't know about him, but it didn't need to happen. But with Issa and Lawrence's situation, because they have so much history and they were just about to start round two, I personally feel like she could go ahead and see what happens. But she's going to be opening Pandora's box. There's going to be a lot of issues that they go through because, again, as you said, Condola is petty, and being pregnant can be more petty. And then finding out that Lawrence is in a relationship, not even just a relationship, but in a relationship with Issa, who he always made it clear wasn't an issue, is going to be even more problems. So I don't know. My biggest thing that I definitely want to see happen for next season is I want to see Issa continue with this boss bitch energy that she's been exuding and embracing. I definitely want to see that. I want to see Molly change because honestly, Molly has been the same every season. We need her character to evolve and have learned something. Either fully dedicate to being an asshole and a terrible friend, or dedicate yourself to changing. But we need to see some sort of a pivot in her character because we're tired of Molly and she's exhausting us. Also, do you think Lawrence is going to take the job in San Francisco now? Because Issa was ready to pack her bags and leave.
Issa should have ran with him.
She was about to.
Because like Issa just remind me so much of myself, and she's like, yeah, if things worked out,
Bitch,
why
you
not?
literally did. Yo, you guys, Nancy literally packed her bags up. First of all, Nancy is dating her man. And she literally, like, just, first of all, she didn't even mention that she got back into a relationship with her ex to me. And all of a sudden I see them on a vacation. I was like, oh, okay, sis, do you, girl? And then all of a sudden this bitch just wants to run off to Ontario. And I'm just like, wait, huh? And then I was like, oh, so you moved back with your family? She's like, no, me and my man. I was like, okay, sis, go off.
But it's not even that. Like I was planning to move back to Ontario regardless. He just
You
happened to
had been
come.
saying that.
Yeah,
You
it
had
just
been saying
happened to
that
come in a
previously.
time where like things just kind of fell together, and I blame my mom for it.
Blame mom. They are everything.
But just things kind of fell together in a way. And that vacation that happened, it was like, hey, there's a wedding. I'm gonna get you a ticket. Let's see if we actually still have chemistry. It was just like a test vacation. I'm like, fuck, I ain't got nothing else to do.
Girl, take that trip, honey.
you know? And it was great. But so you talking about your ex having a baby, I've actually been in a relationship in Calgary like that.
Where they had a baby while you were in a relationship with them, or they already had a child?
um, they like the child was just born kind of
Oh
thing.
my gosh.
But he
Like, why
was
do we do these things to ourselves?
and like but he'd been trying to holler at me prior to that, right? Like he was trying to get with
Okay.
me prior to that, and I didn't know he had a kid. And until this day, I don't know why I even pursued that relationship. It was like such a waste of time. I
Because
don't
we're dumb. We are
Yeah.
dumb.
It was such a waste. I don't care if somebody that knows him listen to this, but it's such a waste of my time. And I'm gonna say this, like the whole time I was in a relationship, I was never fully in my head like wanted. I was just happy to end it. Like I'm not even gonna lie. Like it didn't make me feel anyway because even the way he was to the mother of his child and the way he was as a father didn't even intrigue me because I'm like, you're not even a fully committed dad, bro. Like you need to go you know but I think as women, what I've always had in my head, and I told myself I don't think I could ever be with another man that has kids because like I feel like it robs that intimacy when you your first child with somebody. And if they already
I
went
agree with you.
yeah, when they already go through that with somebody else, I'm like, this shit is nothing to him. Like it's like you're gonna be on it on your own. And
Yeah.
I want to experience my first child with somebody already that didn't have a child, so we both go through it together.
Me too. There's a lot of complications and challenges that come with dating someone that has a child. And I'm not saying that you can't or you shouldn't. It's just a lot that you need to take into consideration. How old is that child? What is the relationship with the mother of that child? When did you guys end? Have there been other people around your child, like significant others, either on the mom or the dad side? Do I know the mom? Does she know me? Is she in a relationship? Does she still want you? Like, there's just so many things to consider, and I feel like at this age, like, we're still young in our prime. Well, you're in a relationship and I'm single, but, I just feel like I'm just too young and cute to be stressed about things like this. Like, let me wait until I'm however old, and if I'm still out here playing the field kinda thing, then maybe, that'll have to be one of the things that are no longer a deal breaker, but,
Yeah, like when you're in
right
your
now, I'm
mid
like
30 and you
yeah.
it like
I'm just like, right now, no, I don't have the time for this. Sorry, I
yeah, because
can't.
like I'm still 29, but I'm assuming like let's say like those are in their when they're 35 almost 40 or so forth, and the pool of having men that age with no kids or women that age with no kids is it slims, right? So
It
if
is.
so as you
Mhm.
get older, that pool of no children kind of slims for you, so you usually meet people with kids at that age.
Mm.
So I it's just a lot of things. Like I can't date a man with a child. I've came to a conclusion that's just not what I'm into, and I want to have kids with somebody that wants to have kids with me for the first time. If we don't work out in the future, we've tried it. But then at that point, now if I'm gonna be going back out there dating, I'm gonna be dating people with kids,
Exactly.
because now we're in the same mindset because we both have children.
100%. So, Vulture.com writer Angelica Bastine said it best. There's something moving about being able to escape into a vibrant series populated by beautiful and beautifully rendered black and brown folks that allow them to just be. And she's talking about Insecure, the series, and what it means to the culture. And when I was reading this article, I was just like, it just makes me reflect back on shows like A Different World, Moesha, New York Undercover, and of course, Girlfriends, that have iconically captured the authenticity and essence of Black culture. These shows are just not entertaining, but they're so necessary because they help us grow. They teach us things, and they're specifically shaped, these shows specifically have shaped me into the Black woman I am today. And I feel so blessed to grow up at such a early time in my adolescence, seeing Black women of all shade ranges be represented on television as the cool girl and the funny girl, the rich girl, the really smart girl, the fashionable girl, the popular girl. But under that, she was always still beautiful. She was always still ambitious. She always had drive
Mhm.
and dedication to whatever it is that she was trying to chase or fulfill in her life. And I held on to some of that, and I wish more of that representation was available when I moved back to Calgary from Miami, because this is all when I lived in Miami that I was put onto these shows because, Blackness is everywhere. Black excellence is there. There used to be so many Black televisions and sitcoms on TV at the time when I was growing up in Miami. But then obviously moving back to Canada, I saw that transition where we were no longer represented, and we weren't everywhere before. And because I experienced that at such a young age, I was able to hold on to that throughout middle and high school. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to build onto that as I was growing up. Like, I can only hold on to those, those moments that I experienced in Miami, but I wasn't able to add on to it. And that's because those resources weren't available to me anymore. Not just the television shows, but the visibility just wasn't there because you come to Canada at that time, especially, there weren't a lot of Black kids and kids that look like me. Um, what shows did you watch growing up that helped shape who you are today?
Like a different world.
I love it. Mhm.
I've also watched the Steve Urkel show. I forgot
Oh,
what
yeah, Family
Family
Matters.
Matters. Family
Okay, I
Matters is
forgot
really
about that.
important to me. Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Girlfriends were always one of my favorite shows. Anything that was on UPN that just
Yes. Yo, UPM was the jam at one point,
yeah.
like, they had all the shows, and then they switched to CW, and then all of a sudden, it just turned to
Yeah,
trash.
these but Girlfriends really hits me differently. It's just like that adult friendship in women, and I've
Mhm.
always like it was like now that I'm older, it's just I wish it came back on now, like just so
Me
that
too, but, they have the DVDs on Amazon. I'm actually thinking about purchasing them all to go back and watch it because, girl. Maybe we should do that. That should be our next book club. We buy the seasons of Girlfriends and we watch them.
Yeah, breakdown. I still hated the ending, but it's just
Oh, the ending was trash. I feel like that's the other part of all these shows, the endings were trash on all these shows,
yeah,
either because they got canceled in the middle of something, like, really big happening, or they, like, maybe it was, like, a happy ending, but no, all of them had really weird endings, and they weren't planned, and it's because, whatever station or whatever that they were on just didn't have faith in them anymore, which is crazy. So now we see in television, we see there are actually a lot of Black shows happening. I feel like sitcoms are coming back for, the Black community, but the writing is sometimes just not authentic and,
to the
the
black person.
characters,
Yeah.
like, they don't capture the, cultural nuances, like, I
I get
just
I get
it's you know what it is? I feel like it's a Black show catered towards white people.
yeah, like blackish, like
Girl. Oh my god. I can't.
yeah.
I do wanna watch Grownish though because people say it's like the younger version of, A Different World, and I do wanna check that out, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Blackish I
Blackish.
tried. It was too gimmicky for me to really get
Mhm.
into it. And there's nothing wrong with it, honestly. It's just like it just didn't, maybe because I'm still in that nostalgic kind of phase where I saw
Mhm.
how it was done before, but I want to see more Black family TV shows, you know?
I wanna see it all, like, I was watching Issa Rae's movie, what was it called? The one that I had told you to watch on Netflix?
Oh, that one I watched before you even said it. The funny one with her when she was,
Yes, like,
yeah,
I need more Black rom-coms
yeah.
because it's so funny, like, I wanna see us represented in these films, and I know for, like, a white person, they don't get it, they're just like, "What's the big deal?" Like, it's just television, but when we read books, when we watch movies, when we see TV shows, we are imagining ourselves sometimes in these characters. And growing up, or even just as an adult, when you see someone work so hard to, fulfill their dreams or go through a struggle or whatever the case is, when you see that person, they look like you and they face the same struggles that you do, it makes and you see the happy ending, it makes you feel like anything is possible, just like a Disney movie. Like when you're a little girl and you see these Disney princesses and you see what happens in this plot and this storyline, you're just like, wow, wow, wow. But then when the show comes off, you're just like, well, that was just a fairy tale because that would never happen to me because that doesn't even look like me. That like that experience isn't mine. So when you see people who look like you experiencing things that or your wildest dreams, it makes it a possibility for you. So that representation is so important and we need more shows like that.
And we need
It's
more
not up to just
writers.
we do. But you know what? We have the writers, we have the producers, we just need the opportunities. And that's
Mhm.
the one thing I really love about Insecure is that especially this season, and I don't know if she's done it in past seasons too, but she really gave the cast members opportunities. Like
To
the
build
episode
themselves.
where yeah, like the episode where we saw Molly's point of view when she went on her vacation with Asian Bay. Um, Kelly was the one that wrote that. She helped with most of the writing,
No,
and
Kelly wrote the one with Issa and Lawrence having that conversation. She wrote that episode. Lawrence directed.
oh, Lawrence directed. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, no, you're right. She wrote that one, and then Lawrence directed the one with Molly going on vacation. I'm just like, she's giving them opportunities not just to be actors and have one title, but to sit here and be able to put producer, director, and stuff on that resume. And we saw Kerry Washington also directed an episode. Which episode did she direct?
She directed the one where
Ellen.
Molly, the one after the vacation when Molly went to speak to Issa at that restaurant,
Okay.
and then
Oh,
like
yes, that is
she
it.
was helping
Mhm.
Nathan move and stuff like that.
Yes. So I love seeing that, and we need to see that all around. Like, it's not just up to Tyler Perry. I know everyone talks about Tyler Perry Studios in Atlanta and stuff like that, but it's just not just up to Tyler Perry to create these opportunities. We need to see our counterparts, and when we talk about systemic racism and social injustice towards the Black community, this is what we're referring to. Like, it's embedded in literally everything in our day to day. So we need our allies who own studios, who are writers, who are directors, who are actors to also speak up for us and say, like, hey, like, this role does not have to be a white girl with blonde hair, blue eye. This doesn't have to be the same A-list celebrity that's in every movie. We understand that you guys want to get to the money, but like, hello, we also need to diversify our craft and the projects that we're putting together. It makes me happy when we see shows like this. And then also, I don't know if you got a chance to watch 20s by Lena Waithe. She that is a really great show, and it reminds me of also of Insecure. It's like
I've heard about that. I've been wanting to
you
sit
need to
down
go
and
watch
watch
it.
it.
Okay, so you need to watch it this weekend because I'm
Okay.
gonna not harass you every single day. You need to watch it. It's on BET. If you need a link, let me know.
By the
But
way, when she says she's gonna harass me, she literally will harass me, guys. She
no,
would.
I will. Like as soon as we're done, I'll be like sending her like, bitch, here you go.
No, I think there's just like a sense of we have the writer, we have the talent. A lot of black people in the background write beautiful.
Hmm.
It's just
They just need the opportunity. What did you learn about yourself after watching this season? Did this season make you aware of any things that you need to change about yourself at all? Give us a tea, girl.
um, I learned to be more open and communicating my feelings, and I've also learned that like it's okay if it doesn't work out, and it's okay, and I'm happy where I am, and I'm gonna be happy where I am, and I'm gonna trust the process. That's what the
Hmm.
season has taught me: is trust the process, and especially when it comes to career and money, you don't need to have what other somebody else have.
100%. I think the biggest thing that I've learned this season that support is so important for my flourishment, and I need to be surrounded by people that support me and who are just and support me effortlessly. And at the same time as saying that, I also feel like I also need to learn to ask for that support because you talked earlier about you know not wanting to ask people for support, and some people you don't want to because they're not going to do it. But I have learned in the last few months, especially during this pandemic, that, ask and you shall receive. I started this podcast, and although I haven't announced it yet, but after this episode is available, obviously I'll have made the announcement. It'll be fully launched. But from the time I recorded the first episode and I posted it, I sent it to all my family and friends, and I told them to watch and to listen to it and to also, give me 5 stars and reviews and stuff like that. And majority of them did. And there was a few people who just opened the message, didn't respond back, didn't listen, nothing. A lot of people didn't leave reviews. Some people I hounded, and they did. But it's been so nice to see the amount of support that people have been giving me. And I don't feel bad about asking them because sometimes people don't know how to support you. They feel like, okay, you have this amount of followers on social media, like you're doing things. So obviously things are working out for you. Like me commenting is a big deal. But when you explain to people that, like, hey, I'd really love if you would like my sponsored post or whatever the case is, or listen to my podcast. You don't have to send it to everybody, but if you like it, sure, post it. But that's what support looks like me, and I think it looks like to me. And I think that's important because at the end of the day, nobody can read your mind. So it's important to explain to people and communicate to people what you need from them, because it comes back to like your love languages. When you're in a relationship with a significant other, you guys have different love languages. So I think about that when it comes to supporting people and just your everyday relationships and how you communicate, that maybe support to me is listen, maybe support to them is just listening to it, and they listened, great, they know what's happening to me. Maybe support for me is, no, I want you to listen, but I also maybe want you to give me feedback, and I also want you to leave a review or whatever so other people can see it. Like we need to communicate what exactly we need from people. So that's one thing I learned this season, and I've been actively been doing these things, and as a result of that, I've really been flourishing in my social media game. It's been amazing.
Maybe I agree with you. Like
Mhm.
I think I should be a lot more open into asking. I have a hard
Definitely.
I have a hard time doing it. I don't
Me
like.
too, because you wanna know why? We have this perception that strong Black women, we don't need anything, we're independent, blah, 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 blah. And asking for support, that's not weak. That's not begging. That's just asking
Yeah.
for support. It's not a big deal. If people don't do it, they don't do it. And if a lot of people may just surprise you and do it. It was just, all it took was just, all you gotta do is ask.
I
So
think it's
I
because
think,
like I'm like scared because like I said, going back is like I don't want people to take it the wrong way, like, oh, look at her coming back for us to help her. She's clearly
mhm,
not doing as good as she's going feeling or thinking or
yep.
and I
Mhm,
don't want that energy. And that's why I get so scared to ask people because it's like they're gonna look at
mhm.
it like they're gonna be making fun of me or thinking that like, oh, I'm begging them for help because I have this much following on social media, I'm doing so good. But me coming to them is like, oh, she's not even that doing that good themselves. It's like,
I think a lot of people are feeling that way, and I think the thing we need to remind ourselves is that I'm doing so good because people are supporting me, and at the end of the day, people are gonna sit, think, or say whatever negative things they want to say, and we just have to be okay with that and just move on. It's like, I asked you, you're making a big deal. I can disengage from this conversation and keep it moving. So that's one of the biggest things I learned this season, this series. I'm excited for next season. I haven't heard any things about it dates, but we'll keep you guys posted. If you guys haven't watched it Insecure before, definitely do it. Now's a great time. Like, we're not doing anything, we're inside. Watch Insecure, watch all the seasons, give it a watch, and definitely watch 20s also on BT. Love that. And enjoy, and make sure you let us know how you think about it. Final thoughts. Where can the people find you, Nancy?
They can find me. I'm updating my website right now, theselfishcolumn.com. So it's going to be coming
Yay.
out soon. You'll see the link on my Instagram page. My Instagram is Nancy Meyahw. That is NancyMeyah. And you just connect with me on there. My email is on there as well. I'm always on Instagram. So if you want to DM me, have any questions, come holla at me. That's my favorite place to be.
Love that. Make sure you guys go ahead and follow Nancy, and also check her out on Instagram and on her blog, and subscribe to it once it's launched with the new look. And obviously follow me on Instagram at tanisha.cherry. Follow the podcast Instagram page, Cherry Lounge Podcast also, and Cherry Lounge Pod on Twitter. And also make sure you give us a 5-star review, screenshot it, post it on your social media, tag my account or the Cherry Lounge Podcast, and for sure I will be reposting it to my stories. And I feel like with this launch, we should do a giveaway. Stay tuned for that, and comment, like, subscribe, follow, all the jazz. Stay tuned for next episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. I know this was a long conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely give us our feedback, and have a great day. Bye.